Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone is well. It was so special and lovely to see so many of you yesterday, albeit it was on Zoom, but sharing in our simcha. And please God, we look forward, Gila and I, to sharing many more simchas with each and every one of you and your respective families. This morning's learning is dedicated in memory of Leah Bas Faivel, Tzivi Bas Mordechai, Avram ben David Slavin, Shlom ben Yisrael Morris, Eliezer ben Shmuel Teret, Eliezer Shalom ben Avram Shmuel Beres, Sipora Fegel bas Reuven Baruch, Shalom ben Eli Ali, Bena bas Faivel, From Shoshana bas Yaakov Shmuel, and the Yortzeit Leah Rivka bas Yaakov David Shaul. We wish each and every one of your respective families long life and only simchas. So summer begins, summer continues, and I have to say that I was saddened to hear that they closed down, in effect, weddings yesterday by saying that you couldn't have any more 30 people outside, and let us hope and pray that the numbers for COVID come down again so that life can resume as we know it. Obviously, huge disappointment for those that were planning a wedding. So we carry on to the next Mishna, and it goes like this. Kol mi sheyesh biyadoi shalosh davarim halu. Anyone who has these three characteristics, these character traits, then they are mitalmidav shel Avraham Avinu. They are from the students of Abraham. V'shlosh v'hem achirim. And if somebody has three other attributes, then they are mitalmidav shel Bilam harasha. Bilam was an exceptionally wicked person who tried to destroy the Jewish people. And let's have a look at the three characteristics that we should be trying to aspire to acquire or to have. So the first one is ayin tova. The first one is a good eye. We'll see what that means. V'ruach nemucha. V'ruach nemucha means a humble spirit. And the third one is v'nefesh shvala. And the third one is a lowly soul. Okay, those, says the Mishnah, are mitamidav shel Avraham Avinu. Okay, so let's just deal with that part of the Mishnah firstly, because it's quite a long Mishnah. So what is a goodly eye? So I don't know if you remember when, let me just see the comments. He was here. Sorry, I'm a bit slow this morning, a bit tired. Good morning to Peter, Colin, Mervyn, Rachel, Caroline, David, Rachel, Peter, Richard, Paul, Michelle, Jackie, Eitan, Estelle, Michael, Eitan again, all my favorites, besties. So nice to see so many people joining us, even in the holiday season, even when they are in far-flung Woodside Park. I don't know, some people are trying to get away, but wherever we are, we'll make sure that Mishna in the morning comes to you. So let's work out what these things are. So what I was saying is, and good morning to Harry. So when we were younger, I don't know if your bubba or your grandma or whoever it was put a bengala on you had to wear a band, a red band around your wrist. It comes back into fashion sometimes. But what is these, you ever seen the red bands that go around your hand and you put them on when I was a very young kid, my great grandmother put one on me, I believe. And so what is it? It is considered, it was a tradition or a mother's tale that came from the Haim, that you wore this and it warded off this red band, evil spirits. It's become actually quite fashionable in Israel to wear it. So a red bengala, as they call it. So that is one of the things to ward off the evil eye. Right, the ayin horror, okay, ayin horror, okay. So the ayin horror is the evil eye. So when we're speaking about Abraham having a goodly eye, the question is, what does that mean? So let me share with you one beautiful idea from Rav Lev, which goes as follows. I hope you can hear me. I'm a bit quieter than usual. So it goes like this. So if God gave us two eyes. Okay, why did he give us two eyes? He could have made it so we see out of one eye. So I'm not talking about physiologically, but I'm talking about a spiritual, psychological domain. So it works like this. One eye is for us to see the good, but if you only see the good, then you'll see the world through rose-tinted glasses. Therefore, you need another eye. The other eye looks at the world in a critical light. Now, if you look at things in a critical light, then you are going to see things that are wrong. And therefore, the idea is that through having these two eyes, you're able to see things in the right perspective. And if you see things in the right perspective, you'll be able to see the good and the bad, both in people, in yourself, and in life. And therefore, you will try to your best of your ability to improve over the course of lifetime. Now, there are some people that have complete cognitive dissonance, therefore they live in denial the whole of their lives. I've set the bar here. That's where I am. I'm doing the very best I can. There is nothing more that needs to be done. Those that are above, they're extremists, they're radical, they're Mishna frumas. Those that are below, they're nobodies, and that's the way they live their lives. And then there are other people that decide that they are critical. They walk around with a critical eye. Let me give you a little story. I'll try not to give away too many details unless you work out who I'm talking about. Okay, now everyone is listening intently. I can see my numbers are going up on Facebook as people want to hear a bit of gossip. So I was once at a very posh wedding, and at this posh wedding, I was it was all singing or dancing, one of these weddings with the big band and everything else going on. And all of a sudden, this guy that I knew, I'm not going to say from where I knew him, and he's a friend. He's meant to be a friend of the host. And the friend of the host comes over to me, and he stands next to me, and he says, "What do you think of this?" And whilst he's standing at his friend's wedding, remember, he's a guest of his friend, he rips to pieces every aspect of that party. He's only doing it for show, and it's all fake, it's not real. And and basically went on and on berating, right, and criticizing, and rubbishing the beautiful simcha that the host had thrown. And I couldn't believe it. And I realized that, of course, this gentleman, quote unquote, right, has a terrible trait. He has the evil eye of Bilam. In other words, he's not looking at things through two eyes. He's looking at it negatively, critically, right? Now, we all are meant to look at life to a degree with a critical eye, because otherwise we'll never improve. If we don't see anything that's wrong with ourselves, if we're not able to look in the mirror and say, hold on, I'm not perfect. There is room for improvement. And I'm not talking about your physical appearance. Harry, you're perfect. But I'm talking about generally in terms of the way we behave, the way we conduct ourselves. I know, and I think I'm quite hard on myself, that there are huge areas where I need to improve, right? And that is one aspect that you have to hold up and you have to stay with you. That's one eye. The other eye says, hold on 1 minute, I'm doing good stuff. Yeah, there's room for improvement, but I'm doing good stuff, and that shouldn't be minimized. That shouldn't be diminished. So therefore, Avram has a good eye. He's trying to look for the good in life, in people. That is the first aspect of Abraham. And if nothing else, friends, if we take this away for the rest of our lives, we will live more healthy, happy, and content lives. Okay? So much of life is filled with negativity. I think it's actually cultural, and I'm interested to see your comments if you believe it's so or not. I think Americans have more of a good, generally speaking, the Americans that I've met have far more of a goodly eye. In other words, everything's awesome, everything is great. They're completely over the top. And of course, this is a huge generalization in itself, but they are more upbeat and more positive and more than British people, which are more, conservative and more measured, and therefore I think a bit more critical. We don't shout from the rooftops. We're not, about our accomplishments and achievements the way that other nations do. So I think it also goes, we have to recognize part of the culture of being British is that we are a bit of understated, which is nothing wrong, but it means we have to measure and make sure that the criticism is kept in check in relation to the praise, the positivity, the constructive comments that we make. That's point number one, which I've said for far too long. Let me just try and do the other two of Abraham, and then we'll do the rest tomorrow. So the next one is that you should have a ruach nemucha. Anyone want to suggest what that is? So Ruach Nemucha is a humble spirit. Okay, a humble spirit. What does a humble spirit mean? We know that Abraham described himself as the dust of the earth, even though he was one of the greatest people. He was the greatest person alive. God had communicated with him. He'd overcome tremendous the 10 trials of Abraham, right? Which culminated in the Akedah. Yet Abraham himself was somebody who was so modest, showed such humility, something which is so difficult. But and we know that Moshe, right, described himself was described as the most humble of all people. And the idea is that the true mark of a person who's humble and has a humble spirit is somebody that recognizes how much greatness is beyond them. Then they truly appreciate who they are, and therefore the more we know and the more we see God, the more humble we become. The third and final point that we're going to deal with today is the where were we? So a good eye, a humble spirit, and a lowly soul. Okay, a lowly soul means is that we don't crave the luxuries of this world. We're not trying to constantly pamper ourselves. Now, that's not to say that we believe in, we don't believe in enjoying this world and living in a material world. On Shabbat, there's a mitzvah to have good meat, good wine, and to have nice clothes for Shabbat. But it's not an end in itself. It's a means to an end. And therefore, that is the mark of a student of Abraham. These three things: you've got a good eye, you've got a humble spirit, and you've got a lowly soul. Okay, so we're going to stop there. Hopefully we'll all taken away something, and our eyes will be able to see the world and see our friends and see ourselves in the right perspective, right? They say a well-balanced Jew is somebody who has a chip on both shoulders. So I think that's to have the right self-esteem is really important in life. We're going to carry on now. We'll stop there for today with the Psalm of the day. And it is, believe it or not, we've chosen once again Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He causes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even when I walk in the valley of darkness, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You set a table before me in the presence of my adversaries. You anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. May only goodness and kindness pursue me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord for the length of days. Now we come on to the memorial prayer, followed by the Refuah Shalema, which is certainly needed in the current climate. Elmali Rachamim Shaykhin Bamloing Mim Amatimukhanakhaina Compassion Malos Kedoshim Returning Kisaraki Masim Es Nishma is Lebas Bible to be Bas Mordechai Avram ben David Slavin Shlam ben Yisrael Morris Eliezer ben Shmuel Teret Eliezer Shalom ben Avram Shmuel Beres Tzipora Fegel Bas Ruven Baruch Shalom ben Eli Ali ben Bas Bible from Shoshana Bas Yaakov Shmuel Leah Rivka Bas Yaakov David Shol Shalchu Lulamam Bagan Aiden Taimanu Chasam Lachin Balarachamim Yasi Bain Besesa Kanakov Lamim, it's always a Chaim Nishmasam Adonai Nachlasam, Yanuch Bishlamashkavam, Vedamar, Amen. Long life wishes to all those that are saying Kaddish, would be saying Kaddish, and are mourning. We now conclude with Refuah Shalema prayer. We have in mind all those that have COVID, all those that are unwell. Please God, around the world, everyone should have Refuah Shalema, and we should see an end to this terrible pandemic. Misha Berach of Saint Robbins, Rabbi Yaakov Moshe Aron, David Shlomo Gorech Repes Achayim. Babu Shanim Ispalim Babu Rambis Chazakash Brochi Mali Rachim Alehem Lachmon Fosam Yishlach Lim Pushrim and Shmaim Lechol Bem Lashos Shah Shach Yisrael Refuah Sanef Shvosakov Hashavagis Makarev and Omar Amen. It was lovely to see you last night. It was lovely to see you today. Keep well, look after yourselves, keep that good eye, and please God, we look forward to seeing you tonight. Stand with us, the very last one, which is an incredible lecture. We look forward to seeing you. All your questions will be answered about Israel and beyond tonight on Facebook. Take care.